Hey everybody, welcome back this week. Glad that you decided to join us. Man, we've had a lot of things been happening here at Midtown, and just excited to see God's movement all around the city and different people being involved in different ways. And a couple of those people are joining with me today, Quinn and Brittany Epperly. Thanks so much for being here with us, guys.
Of course.
Yeah. This is such an honor. Usually we're sitting around the table together having game night.
That's right.
And go-to games that we like. What's our go-to games? Euchre is a really good one, yeah.
I don't want to talk about that one. You guys
Oh,
usually
Rook?
are beating us.
Oh yeah,
in
I'm
euchre.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry you lose every time.
I think Shannon's undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Shannon's undefeated in everything.
We have some really intense game nights. One of the things I love most about you guys is you're one of the most competitive people. Another game we like to play is pickleball together. I'm sorry you also lose at that one too, Brittany.
Let's check the tape on that.
We just have a
When
lot.
I play with Quinn, we don't lose. Maybe
That's
when I play just me, that's true.
Brittany is one of the most athletic ladies I've ever played against that you legit just murder me in this game. So I can openly say that. It's amazing. But guys, introduce yourselves a little bit. Tell us a little bit about y'all's selves.
Yeah. So we're Quinn and Brittany Epperly, and I was born and raised in Knoxville, Tennessee here, and Brittany moved here in middle school, and we got married 4 years ago now.
Congrats.
After kind of reuniting after college, and around the same time started a real estate business that we're working in now.
Awesome. And y'all been a part of Midtown for a few years now as well. We've been lifelong friends. But I'm watching God really use y'all together in profound ways. We recently, if you're not aware of this, our church is partnered with Church at Ridgebrook, and that's Andrew Osakwe. And they've recently opened up restaurants, one being on University Avenue. Check them out. So good. Unapologetic little announcement there. Go check them out. So good. Awesome food. Awesome people. And then BJ Flavors on Magnolia, correct? And you guys have been a part of So Good. Tell us about what that's been like and maybe y'all's role in that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, you can kind of talk about.
Yeah, it really started with like a pretty amazing kind of just hearing from God. Like I was sitting there in church service, and just the Lord put on my heart, like, be prepared to give a certain amount of money. And I'm like, okay. So I went home that night and I talked to Brittany. I said, hey, I think the Lord's preparing us to give. And it was a stretch for us. It was more than I think probably combined we had given.
Yeah.
And
you had a specific number.
A specific number.
Yeah.
And not until later did I realize that it was Andrew that was speaking that day when I heard that. And so Andrew then comes to our small group, and we were wanting to get out into more outreach. And so he comes because he with Church at Ridgebrook and was starting to tell us about ways that we could get involved. And he said, and I want to raise up people in leadership and entrepreneurship and with kingdom principles. And for us, that was like, boom, I'm all about it. Like, let's go. Because with our business and like, we really just want to see a change in that. And he goes, and so the first thing I want to do is I want to start a restaurant. And I need this much money. And it was the exact amount.
That's awesome.
That and Brittany was across the room, and like we just kind of like look at each other. We're like, what?
And we had recently been talking about just like things that we're passionate about. And in our business, I do all of our design for our properties that we renovate. And one of the things I had said to him was like, man, I would love to get involved or like renovate a restaurant. Like I just think that would be super
She's been
fun.
saying it for years, probably 2 years now.
And so Andrew says that and then says that I'm out, and I just was like, okay.
It's like the second time I've ever met Andrew.
Right.
Yeah. And hot button words for it. I mean, you say entrepreneurship, kingdom principles. We're like, yes,
let's go get it.
Let's do it.
That's so awesome. One of the things I want everybody to know here is that basically everything at Midtown runs through life groups. And so when we say Andrew Osakwe, you've seen pictures come up of Andrew, but Andrew's gone into life groups and helping life groups move into mission. So we have rhythms in our life groups. What life group is just a group of people that's maybe like a microcosm of the macro of our bigger gatherings. They just come into homes, and those gatherings then go deep together in the word and understanding and walking together, accountability, relationship, but then also not just going inward, but going outward. And so we have rhythm, inward and outward, inward and outward. And that's part of what Andrew was doing. When he came in, he was making sure that we understood where we're going, and he was bringing us to go out. And I love that. Brittany, what was the inspiration? So you helped do all of the design work at Soul Good, which is amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
What was your inspiration in all this?
I really wanted to create a space that the community would be proud of, and one that they walked in and looked like someone took the time to come in here and do something cool for our community, which where Soul Good is located, there's just maybe not a lot of places that people have taken the time to say, let's make this awesome. Like, let's go a little above and beyond. Like, and so we wanted to make it just super special in a place that they could be proud of, that people would want to spend time, hang out, get good food. And I had a lot of help from Michael Anna as well.
Nice.
Also a member at Midtown who is awesome. So she did all the menu design and helped just bounce a lot of ideas off of.
That's so good. Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Michael Anna, because if you see any graphics that we do at Midtown, this is Michael Anna. She does all that. So shout out, little lady, you amazing.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, so amazing, so amazing. That's awesome. That's been such an encouraging thing to see. One of the things that I love about what's happening there is it's not just a people group coming in from the outside. It's raising up a community from the inside and watching that become something and flourish, and watching entrepreneurship grow there.
Yeah.
It's been really cool. What's the favorite part of the design for you both as you've done that, been a part of it?
So there's kind of two things going on when you walk in that are kind of interactive. That was a big part of the design too, was creating a space that people had something to do. So the prayer part is you can come and you can give a prayer. So basically just write down a prayer. You don't know really who it's for. Ask the Lord who it might be for. But you can write down a prayer for someone and put it in, like there's a little section that you can put that in. And then there's also a spot where you can take a prayer. So someone may have written down a prayer request, so you could take that and pray for that person. Yeah. So the big part of that was that being prayed for has such an impact on us as believers, but then praying for others has such an impact. So I think getting to pull out someone's prayer request and see, wow, someone's dealing with something big out there and they need prayer. Right. It also puts into perspective maybe what you're going through. Yeah. So someone may walk in there with a weight on their shoulders and then decide to grab someone's prayer and say, oh gosh, I'm not the only one going through something. And just so I think it's a place that you can get perspective, you can receive prayer, you can give prayer, and just we're hoping that there will be a lot of life change in that little corner.
Quinn, your involvement's been a little bit different. You're walking specifically with someone in that community, and y'all have been walking together a little bit. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so once we got connected with Andrew, we kind of went and sat down and got dinner, and it was kind of like a prayer of mine to, like, Brittany has had a passion for sex trafficking, and I feel like I hadn't found mine as much. Mine was kind of just honestly fueling her so that she could go do what she wanted. It really was. And we even had like a prophecy over us at one point that I would be the battery to her, you know? And so, but I still kind of wanted to find something that, like, I was super passionate about. And I knew that, like, I knew what that space wanted to be in. I really wanted to try to help people get to financial freedom, specifically, really everyone, but like specifically in underprivileged areas. And so when I told Andrew that, he was like, Andrew's an amazing connector of people. Yeah. That is a gift of his. And so as soon as I said that, he's like, he like basically shook my hand immediately and was like, okay, you ready to start tonight? And I was like, sure. And he's like, good, I got your first guy.
That's awesome.
And so we've been walking together, and it all kind of culminated with the Soul Good, and really why we wanted to even help at Soul Good was for stories like D'Angelo. Yeah. So we've gotten connected, and we've been walking now for a couple months, and really just being able to see the life change in him, and hoping that spreads into a way bigger thing that we're trying to put together a curriculum now. Right. Ryan Burnage has started to help me now, and we're like literally trying to put together a curriculum that people can come to us at any point, and we say, yes, okay, we are going to walk you through this and get you through to financial freedom with biblical principles. Yeah. And it really being about getting to a point that financially we can give, so because we're blessed to be a blessing. Yeah. So it's been a really cool journey.
And we had talked, it's like when you get involved in somebody's life, it's not just that like we bring to them something. It's like the same is returned to us in the same amount, if not more. You know, like you learn just as much, not more. It's like teaching you so much.
Absolutely.
Would you say that's right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, for me, it's been really looking back now, and even as we're just talking about it, realizing how much has come just by prayer, just literally by praying. So like the give a prayer, take a prayer thing, like just by prayer, like I walked into so many things have just unfolded, but like one being like, I walked in and I was like, all right, Lord, like, I know how to talk to people about real estate, but there's some beginning stages that I need help on. Like, help me find how to walk people through this. And I walked in, we have a little book case in our bedroom, and I was like, and this book just like stood out like it was a spot. I just grabbed it. It laid out, I mean, percentages, everything I was dreaming about was in this book.
Yeah, and you never picked it up.
And I'd never read it before. And it is probably 75 to 80% of our financial like planning for people from this book.
This is so great.
Yeah. And so, but just asking the Lord, simply asking like, okay, what do I need to get involved in? Boom, soul good. Okay, what do I need to teach these people? Here's a book. Like, and just really asking.
Yeah. I mean, that's the word. Like, ask according to his will, and it is. Like, it's going to happen. He's going to do everything you need, and you don't have to worry about it. I don't know why I forget that so much, but like, just these, I know, it's like every day. It doesn't matter if it's happened once, twice, 50 times in my life. Like, I just don't want to believe that for some reason. Yeah. But God comes through every single time. Not just Soul Good, but Brittany, you're a part of a ministry called Street Hope. Tell us about Street Hope a little bit and what that's been like.
Yeah, so Street Hope is a ministry that works with victims of human trafficking. So Street Hope kind of has two parts. They have Street Hope, which does education. They're in all Knox County schools, educating kids on safety online, and just right now, young, mostly girls, got boys too, but a lot of girls are putting everything online. And there are people out there that are taking advantage of that. So they do a lot of education. And then the other aspect and the part that I'm mostly involved with is a home that they built from the ground up to take in girls ages 13 to 17 that have been victims of human trafficking. This home will be a place where they can come to experience healing, and it is completely centered on Christ. That was one of the things that I found when I realized my passion was for this, for human trafficking. It was sadly very hard to find places that were completely Jesus-centered.
Yeah.
And so, and my belief is that the only true healing you'll ever experience is if you have Jesus involved. Yeah. And so this home, they will have education there, they will have on-site counseling, and it'll look like a home. It won't look like a facility. I mean, the home is beautiful. It's like the most beautiful home we've ever seen. And so the way that they do things is just so excellent. What they're doing with this home and for these girls is just so excellent. And so it's been so cool to be a part of. And the faith that I've seen operating in Street Hope, I mean, that's blessed me more than, I mean, so the way that they walk and trust God, it's just time after time, story after story of God just coming through in a way that you're like, I know your word says you're going to do that. Yeah. Like you were saying, like, why does it shock me almost every time? I know. And so, I mean, that's been happening on a huge scale with Street Hope, and it's just cool to be a part of.
That's so neat. One of my favorite things about you guys is that everything you guys are involved in, I just believe like goes to another level. Like it just gets better. Like I believe the city is better because y'all are here. I believe our church is better because y'all are here. I believe I'm a better person because y'all are my friends. Like y'all are a blessing. But like, what is the thing that motivates you in all of these different things? Like all the ministries you're a part of, business, whatever it is. Like what is the motivating factor in your life?
I think for both of us, it would just be like the passions in each of that. So like the passion of what got her going when she saw like a girl that was sex trafficked, like how much that just drove something in her. For me, like underprivileged areas and seeing the cycle that just continues to happen, and then connecting that with like the blessing of mentors and what we've had with business, and realizing that like, man, I have a passion for that. So that's what kind of like motivates me to get in and want to start doing this and like just diving in. Yeah.
I'm also super motivated by, I was so blessed to be raised in a family that raised me with godly principles And I'm just like motivated to go out and serve and bless in a way that shows people that the life that like the Lord wants for us is one of abundance. It's one of blessing, it's prosperity, it's all good. It's good things.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's motivating to get involved in things that we can say, hey, like, God has such good things for you. And so, like, for human trafficking, for that gripped me so much because I was like, oh my gosh, like, God does not want this for these girls.
Right.
And so for him, with the financial, poverty and just people that were never told.
Right.
People don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And so we need to tell them.
Yeah.
And so we need to tell them about the Lord. We need to tell them about Jesus. We need to tell them that there's good things for them. And I'm so motivated because I don't have a lot of trauma to overcome because my parents got it right when they got their lives right with the Lord. And thank God they did.
Yeah.
So then I got to be raised in that home.
Right.
And so that's super motivating to me too.
That's so good. That's so good. I mean, how can we not go when we've experienced the love of God, which is like changed our lives? It's that same thing birthed within us because of his love. It's like his love begins to pour out. When we look at broken situations, we go, I want to bring healing and wholeness because I've experienced healing and wholeness. Like I see the brokenness and I also see the remedy of what it looks like. Right. So man, I think you all model that love of Jesus so well, and you get in and you serve to the point of giving your life away. And I think it's a mark of gospel-centered living. And that's why I believe that things around you get better, because you're not looking at what you can take from a situation. You're always looking at what can I give to a situation. That's not how many people live. It's more of what can I get from this? Who can I know? How can I network? And those are all good things. But when I'm looking to add value to something, something's going to get better. And so that's one of the gospel principles that we here at Midtown, we really want to continue to foster as a community, but then also to experience outside of that gathering, to experience on the street, everywhere we go. We want to add value. Yeah. And so I think you guys just do such a good job with that. So thank you all so much, just from the bottom of my heart. Like, thank you all for being that. Last question. What is the biggest thing that you've learned and that you hope to continue to grow in as you look forward to the future of God's movement in the city and in your life?
I think it's, for me, like what I was just hitting on in terms of like continue just to ask God and then expecting when we ask, right? So like when we go and we do the Tuesday night walks, like we pray and then we go expecting. And so like expecting for bigger things that like this for us, like I hope was just a very small start. Like,
that's good.
Like we have a goal of like what we gave financially, that it is times 10. That's like awesome. We want to write a check times 10, you know what I mean? And so that like, but through that, then like we have to continue to walk and just walk with God for those blessings, and so that we can be that blessing. And then also just like learning too, for me, like realizing that like in those areas, like it is giving, like it is giving of our time. It is not necessarily like you do get things from it, but it's like not going in for what you get necessarily, but like that it's giving and it's ministry and it's messy. And like I've had to learn that like you get behind the veil of some things and then you realize like, hey, actually it's just all people, and it's just everyone doing the best they can, and like we're all have these gifts. And then like usually if you are we were talking about this on the way, but like usually if you are stepping into an area, it's because they don't have that area.
That's right.
So then you're like, wait, why don't they have this? And it's like, well, that's why you're here.
Right.
Like,
welcome, church.
Welcome.
We're a piece of it, right?
Now come along in this like broken mess that's just being restored by God, but we're all just
grace
people.
Upon grace upon
grace
grace
upon grace. And so I've had to like learn that some of like, okay, like this is what I'm stepping into, but then that at the end of the day, you do realize like that is the fulfillment. That is like why you do it. And you see a D'Angelo get up at a dedication and talk about his life changed and drugs being flushed down the drain. Like you just sit there and you realize like, okay, like the little actual time that I gave, like there's a life impacted, there's a life impacted, there's a life impacted. And you realize kind of the greater purpose really behind it.
Oh yeah. I just see the 5 loaves and 2 fish like parable. It's like, I don't know if I can do anything, but like with the little that I do have, I'm going to bring it. And then you see like upon over and over.
Yes.
It's like more than I ever think or imagine. Like
Right.
D'Angelo's stepping up there, but not only is D'Angelo, but everybody that he knows is in the crowd, and it's
Absolutely.
blessing upon blessing.
Absolutely.
And he's over there like acknowledging you, like the guy that means a lot to me, Quinn. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's profound.
It was very cool.
And you've spent time.
Yeah, exactly.
You spent time.
And when you look at it, really, like the last 2 months, maybe 2 hours a week, like, you know, like we get so caught up in our time, and but yeah, just really learning and kind of diving into that deeper.
Yeah, you know, just from hearing you guys, and just an encouragement to anybody who's watching. I think one of the things that it makes this so profound is what you said, is like prayer and talking to God, but then making yourself available. And when the moment comes and it's stuff that's like matched up with your prayer and they intersect, join.
Absolutely.
And it can be terrifying. You had a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You had a number in your mind.
It was a little terrifying.
Oh yeah, it was terrifying.
I get it. Now the number comes up.
Yeah.
You gonna do it?
Yeah. And we even, like, that's what was funny, was like when we even went, like we were like, well, like, let's see what they like have, you know, like, let's test it, and like, let's make sure they are like this and this. And then, and that was what was even funny, was like, there was so many, I'm talking 3 times that there was like a number said, and then in the next meeting it was said by someone that didn't know the number. And you're just like, and we're like, okay, well, what if they've only raised this much? That's what they had raised. And we're like,
it was like thing after thing that Lord was like, I will verify for you multiple times.
Yeah.
Wow.
Children. So that you.
It's so good.
Yeah.
God is so good.
I know.
He's so kind.
I just want to encourage anybody who's watching, if you don't know where to start with prayer. And then as you pray, I believe that God will honor that. He will meet you right in those prayers as you want to serve, you want to get involved. And then just give your yes. That's the next. And then watch what God does at that point. You don't have to try to build a big stage for yourself. The stage gets built when you say yes, and it gets bigger than you ever thought, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
And that's what we really started praying for, was specifically divine connection.
Yeah.
Like daily. And then just to see, when you really look back at everything in your life, if you truly go back to the root of it, it is God. Like all the people around you, then it's like that are going towards these good things.
Right.
Like they were brought in supernatural ways.
Absolutely. This really is a kingdom movement. It starts with Jesus, and we're just carrying out the love of Jesus, which has captivated our hearts. As I was reading through John chapter 11, I see the story of Lazarus, and the love of God is really put on display in this story. And if you've got time, check out John chapter 11. Just go read through that story. But it talks about how Jesus loved Lazarus, Mary, and Martha. So in this story, Jesus does everything that is best for them. Not always what they appreciate or what they like, but what's best for them. That's what love does. Jesus also models love that withstands or goes against any obstacle to do what's best for their life. The chapter right before chapter 11, Jesus is about to be stoned. And he ends up going back into this crowd who hates him because of the love that he has for Lazarus. And so love often fights through every obstacle to reveal love. And the second thing that I see is that love sympathizes deeply with you. In this story, when Lazarus dies and Jesus goes down and he sees everybody mourning, he's deeply moved to the point of weeping, like crying. And this is what we've been talking about, really. Like, man, we see the need in our city. We see brokenness, and we're hurting in our core. Like you use the word passion. It's like this passion within us that rises. This is exactly what happened in Jesus. As love rises, he sees the brokenness, he sees the hurt, and he's moved to tears. He begins to weep. Here's the thing that love doesn't do, though. Love doesn't stop with weeping. It doesn't stay there. The last thing I see in the story of Lazarus is that love doesn't stay in the feels, but it moves to action. In verse 38, I think it says that Jesus is moved again. After he weeps, it says he's moved again, and he looks at the stone in front of the tomb of Lazarus, and he says, move the stone. Let's get that thing moving, and let's do something about the hurt that we see. And this is really the church. I think for the coming days, I think it's so important that we as the church don't just simply mourn over the brokenness of our world, but we step in action in the same way that Jesus stepped in action for our life. And he put to practice his love for us. He put it on display. And it's his words mixed with the display that actually move the needle forward, actually accomplish the message. And I believe that the church today is the body of Christ. It's the manifestation of this message. And we're called not to just cry over brokenness. We're actually called to step into it and see stones rolled away so that life can come from it. This is what we are, a kingdom movement, growing together by loving God and loving the world. And I believe that as we step into that, we're going to continue to see our brokenness healed, restored, and cities put back together, relationships mended, and our world begin to experience a little bit of heaven here. This is what love does. Love moves. I'd love for you to connect with us at midtownknox.org, and you can just hit connect, and there's a form that's going to come up. Let us know kind of what's on your heart, maybe what dream you have, and we'd love to help be a connection for you in this city or perhaps around the world. Thanks for joining us today, and guys, thank you all so much. It's been a blessing. Can't wait to see what happens in the future. Much love. See you soon.